201 series. So this is how you ensure quality with your apprentices. We've got some skilled employers here who have experience working with students and apprentices and interns and all of those things that at the colleges and high schools we may be dealing with. Your two facilitators are Tina Watts and John Dunn. And John and Tina, feel free to pose questions also at the end of our panelists and use your expertise to fill in. So Tina is the faculty in the Child Development Department at Skyline College, and she also coordinates the apprenticeship program there. And John Dunn is the Bay Region BACCC Apprenticeship Director, and he is kind of leads initiatives for all apprenticeships, including traditional, kind of construction related, as well as non-traditional. And this is a non-traditional one. And then I only work with the ECE and EDU pathways and apprenticeships, and I'm Kathleen White, and I work in the San Francisco Bay region. Although I will tell you, we have about 75 people on my mailing list now who are from Southern California and the far north, and this sector is really a hot sector to look at developing new apprenticeships. A lot of people want to talk and connect and learn from each other. So thank you all for being here, and I will be looking at the chat, and Tina and John, take it away.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're hoping to share some lessons learned and ideas across the board so that we can better support our educators who are enrolled and participating in our apprenticeships. We know Kathleen hasn't said it yet, but there's additional funding coming out in the form of a CHI grant that some of you will definitely be pursuing, some of us will be considering or not, and really wanting to emphasize some of the pieces that we've learned, those folks who are presenting today and who have hands-on in non-traditional apprenticeships, particularly education pathways, really wanting to share what we've learned and how to support our teachers so that they stay in the field and are really learning from the work and the energy that we're putting into it. So I'm going to go ahead and let John start and give a little bit more of an introduction than Kathleen has given us, because I think that he has a lot of information that is beneficial to us and he can share. So
I'm gonna jump in before him to say that Dr. Lopez came into our keynote and announced that the CAI grant will be released this Friday. So if you're waiting for money to start your apprenticeship program this Friday, and maybe John, you can fill in how helpful that's been.
Well, it depends on your perspective. I heard Tina, I heard that, Tina, maybe. So I'm John Dunn. I'm Regional Director of Apprenticeship for the Bay Area Community College Consortium. And like it says on the screen here, that's kind of my base. What I do is provide lots and lots of technical assistance to all the colleges. But because once upon a time I was a high school teacher for 10 years, this is my favorite group of people to talk to. I'll tell everybody that because I still get PTSD from having to quit my job and get my credential. So all of this is incredibly important to me. Like I said, I actually learn a lot because this is such an active apprenticeship community, and Kathleen does such a good job of shepherding it. I don't hear as much of the good stuff because it's just happening, and that's great. So not only am I helping our colleges, I included our K-12 LEAs there. We're wrapping up this effort to create a regional plan, a strategic plan for apprenticeship that then the whole region can point to. We call out education and our other priority sectors in there. I'll drop a PDF copy in there. If you want to read it and fall asleep, feel free to. And then the CAI grant thing was great. That was wonderful timing today to hear about that. My role for CAI grants is a couple things. One, I'm not going to write them, but I am more than happy to go over some of the narrative and the language and the things that you write in there to hopefully better explain what you want to do to the chancellor's office so that you can get approved. I actually was at the chancellor's office when this funding first arrived 10 years ago this fall. And so I put together the first RFA. It's not too different than it used to be, but it's different enough. But Sabrina and her team there are looking for certain things, and let's try to get as much money into the Bay region as possible. And I would also encourage all of you to think about how to partner with each other, where you've got maybe one fiscal agent and a couple other colleges that are partnering with you and other entities, so that we don't have one-offs all over the place. So when we get a chance to read the actual RFA, I'm very curious to see what it says. I've heard some different rumors around things, but we'll just wait till Friday to clarify. And so I'm here to actually provide all that assistance and all that help in any way I can. And that includes driving out to wherever you are and hanging out and talking for an hour or two or three. So thanks all.
Thanks, Sean. That is great. And he'll stay on with us. So if we have questions for him that are more purposeful and focused, then we can ask him as we go through. And I know Kathleen gave a little introduction. I'm Tina Watts. I'm at Skyline College. I'm a full-time faculty member here. I'm the department coordinator as well as the Early Childhood Apprenticeship Program coordinator. I have 35 plus years of direct service and early learning, from work study student aid all the way up to director. And that's actually what got me turned on to apprenticeship a few years ago. I've managed the Child Development Center at Skyline campus and worked at a couple of other ones at four-year institutions, and saw the need for the partnership from education and experience rather than either or. And so I have myself and some colleagues have been building the plane as we fly it for the last 4 years. We were one of the, not the first, but one of the early CHI grant recipients. We've been really doing apprenticeship probably for 7 years. And we have learned a lot of things, including the world of apprenticeship. And so I'm hoping to guide us through our presenter panel today, and then let them talk about their programs a little bit. And then I want to circle back to the reason why we're all here, which is how to improve or continue to improve best practices in mentoring our apprentices in education and in supporting meaningful on-the-job training, so that we have folks who complete and stay in the field. So without further ado, I'll move to our first panelist from Kidengo, Julia.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julia Chavez. I am the Director of Professional Learning here at Kidengo. Kidengo have 50 plus sites around Alameda County, Santa Clara County, and Contra Costa, and that ranges from our programs from 0 to 5. We have early Head Start, and also state-funded programs. Here at Kidengo, we also have our own internal substitute pool. We have over 200 internal substitute pool, and that is how we recruit our apprentices. We hire them as our part of our substitute, and then we offer the 3 different pathways that we have when it comes to apprentices. Our apprenticeship program is fairly new. We started in 2002 with 2 apprentices, and that's in partnership with Chabot College. Here you can see in the screen, we have 3 different programs that we offer. Our Tier 1, which is the Associate Teacher Permit. It is 1 year. We have 2 options that we offer. Our partnership with Chabot College is purely virtual. And we have also a partnership with Mission College, which is in person. We like to be able to offer options for our apprentices because we know that they have different ways of learning, right? Sometimes because we have so many things happening in our lives, virtual might be more easier, or sometimes there's learners that they prefer to be more in person. So it's nice for our employees to have that option on what works best for them. This classes that we have for this program is cohorted. For Chabot, we partner also with Chabot with YMCA. So they're cohorted, they are partner employers there as well. And with Mission, there's PAC from Palo Alto and West Valley, that is our partner employers for our Mission College. For our associate degree pathway, we have 2 partner colleges, and that is Chabot College and the ANZA. So we want to be able to offer like, hey, you're done with your 12 units. What do you want to do next? So we we want to be able to offer that associate degree pathway for them. And then our newest partner here for our bachelor's degree is with Advanced College. We are very excited this fall, actually, we started with just 3 apprentices. But in the coming spring, we're excited to increase that number because as we, recruit more and spread the word, a lot of our employees are interested in going back to school or furthering their education. Part of our model too is we follow the ESEP's apprenticeship model. We make sure that they're getting the required hours that they have, and that is why we hire them as part of our substitute pool, so that we make sure that they get the hours they need, the support that they need. Also, since they are hired as associate teachers, once they get their permit, they automatically get that promotion because like now they're associate teacher. And even before that, as they're working on taking their classes, we also offer we want to make sure they have the CPR first aid training that they're going to need when they find those different positions, especially if assistant associate teacher. They have the preventative health and safety, different compliance training that we need here, or like required by licensing that they need here in our organization to be able to step in that role. We offer RSI supports. We make sure they have the textbooks that they need, whatever materials, if they need any hotspots or laptops or headphones that they need to be able to be successful in their schooling. That's part of our program that we offer. When it comes to mentorship, what we do, because some of them, we first hired them as internal substitute, but we also have teachers aid in the classroom that are interested in taking the classes. So their mentors are either lead teachers or center directors. This year, as we are seeing the growth and the need in our apprentices, we try to have one traveling mentor to support the work of our traveling teachers or our substitute teachers. And what we do is, since here at Kidengo, permit support is part of professional learning, we're able to identify which of our staff is applying for a site supervisor permit, and we work with them and partner with them and make them mentors so that they can support new teachers coming into the field. So, we're developing 2 things. We're strengthening the mentorship part of some staff that's ready to be supervisors in the future, and also the new teachers. So that's one of the big thing that we do here, especially when, making sure that we support the apprentices that comes in. But that's all about Kidengo. I will be here for the rest of the session if you have any questions. We also have, if you're interested in our program, we have our QR code here. Feel free to scan, put your information, and we'll reach out to you with more information.
Great. Thanks, Julia. I forgot to mention it earlier. I did drop it in the chat. Please let us know who you are and where you're from, so that we just have an idea of who's here. And I know that Kathleen just dropped in the slides into the chat as well. So if you're interested in seeing more information from any of our panel presenters, please feel free to check out those slides. And moving on, got Courtney from Girls Inc. of Alameda County. Hi, Courtney.
Hello, everyone. As Tina shared, my name is Courtney Andrade. I'm with Girls Inc. of Alameda County. We are part of the very loved, adopted, expanded learning team that ECE has adopted into the apprenticeship world, which we really appreciate. And so Girls Inc. of Alameda County, we are a nonprofit organization that serves as the employer for the apprenticeship, and we provide after-school program, summer and morning care to school-aged youth. And so now with Universal TK, we have TK to 12 in the participants that we serve. And so we you know, after the pandemic, I think for everyone, there was, with the Great Resignation, there was a lot of challenges with the turnover and folks just not wanting to work in education, and that included after school program and expanded learning. And so we were so desperate to figure out, like, how do we recruit staff, and what is a way to recruit and retain staff? When I entered the field 19 years ago, as a direct service facilitator, I, you know, had gone to college and I didn't know what I was going to do, because who uses their degrees? And so I didn't know what to do. And so I came into expanded learning, because expanded learning has very minimal requirements to work in the field. And so as I've been in the field, expanded learning changed a little bit. We had the shift, and there were a lot of AmeriCorps members who wanted to get experience before they went on to teaching. And so that's sort of what the demographic of the field was. And post-pandemic, it's shifted drastically. And so the expanded learning landscape is now folks in their community who are staying in their community, who are either untraditional students who know they're not going to leave their community to go to a four-year university, maybe have been in multiple community colleges and have transcripts from 3 or 4 different community colleges and just don't know how to get back into the system. And so when we started our apprenticeship in 2023, so we're very, very new, we had spent a year of planning in partnership with ESEPs, Early Care and Education Pathways to Success, as well as Partnership for Children and Youth. And our higher education institution partner is Berkeley City College. And so we spent a year planning for our apprenticeship, and right on time, the CAI grant came out, and we didn't need, we were able to apply for the implementation grant because we'd already done all the planning and we were ready to launch. And so when we launched, our first cohort were incumbent workers. And so they were staff that already worked with the organization, already in expanded learning, and wanted to go back to school. And so that was our first cohort. They're graduating in December, which we're really excited about. And our apprenticeship is a 2-year, 2,000-hour apprenticeship program. And we have 48 transferable units is the model we have right now. We are hoping with with an expansion grant, if we get it, that we are going to go to 60 units, so all of our apprentices can walk away from the apprenticeship with an AA. But right now, we provide 48 units, and a lot of our apprentices, because they're untraditional students, they have units from other different community colleges, and so we're able to graduate them, but it's a little bit more work, a little more extra commitment, and not something that's within the plan. And so they may graduate the apprenticeship before getting their AA. And then just as every apprenticeship in ECE, we have the cohort learning. We are able to, because after school program is not all day full-time work, we are able to host our coursework at our facility in the middle of the community where our apprentices work. And so our BCC instructors and professors come to us, and they're able to support with providing our coursework at our facility 2 mornings a week. And so that leaves opportunity for us to be able to schedule in our OJT, to be able to provide the coaching, the mentor meetings, all of those pieces, while still being able to host after school programs. And so this has been really great for our organization. Our retention has gone from 56% to 93% because of the apprenticeship, and that is a huge benefit for the organization. It's a huge benefit for the field. And for Alameda County, because all of our apprentices are from the community and they want to work and give back to their community. We have apprentices who either went to the schools they're working at and after school, they have siblings, their children work at the schools that they're in. And so it's been a huge benefit for our organization. And they're so proud to tell their students that they're in college when they're, you know, talking about the apprenticeship. And so it's been a huge benefit for our organization and for our community, and I think for our field. And so there are a lot of employers that are now looking into launching a registered apprenticeship program with the support of ESEPs and Partnership for Children and Youth. I think that's all I'm going to say until we get into the questions.
Great. Thank you, Courtney. Appreciate it. Yeah, I do want to get through the panelists before we get to questions, because I know there's going to be a lot. So moving on. Do we have any one here from the Learning Links folks? I know I think I saw Amanda's name. No, maybe. Let's see, I'll scroll through. No, there might have been, we might have had some miscommunication. That's all right. We can come back.
Yes,
I'll
I'm
move
here.
on. Oh, you're here? You're here. Great. I'll come back.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, welcome. Yes. Go for it, Amanda.
Oh, you want me to say the information on here?
Well, yeah, sure. We thought we had a team of folks. I think there was some miscommunication. I think we had a team of folks who were coming to this presentation, that they might have shown up to the earlier one by mistake. So prepared. We'd love to have you talk about your role in the apprenticeship right now. And if not, that's okay too.
Right now, I just have one apprentice under me. This is all brand new to me. So I'm at the Learning Links at EA Sports, and she is taking 2 classes right now at Skyline. And I'm just helping her. I help her bi-weekly. We have meetings every 2 weeks. And then she just goes over what she needs help with. And if she needs any kind of help, I would just reach out to you, Tina.
Yes, I'm the catch-all.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, Amanda. Amanda is part of, like she said, Learning Links at the EA site. She is one of our part of one of our employer partners, and I think we have Maggie Barrientos from our lab school, who is also another employer partner, who's going to talk a little bit more in depth about the type of apprenticeship we run that has it's not just a single employer, it's multiple employer partners, where the community college is the hub. So thank you, Amanda. That's helpful in terms of the work that you're doing individually with your apprentice. And I'll go ahead and forward. And I think, oh, we got Oakland next. But that's okay. We'll come back to Maggie. Jessica.
I am. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Ramos. I am with the Oaktown Leaders Program. So we actually have 2 programs, but I'm kind of in charge of the Oaktown Leaders. So I thought I was only presenting on Oaktown Leaders, but we also have the Early Educator Apprenticeship Program. So we have 2 programs. The Oaktown, I'll kind of give a little quick recap of both. So the Oaktown Leaders Program is a pre-apprenticeship program, and that program is to have our high schoolers start looking for the opportunity of, or thinking about the opportunity of becoming an educator. So we start as early as in 10th, 11th grade, but actually we have some 9th graders as well for them to get their permits. So what happens is that they take the dual enrollment classes that are offered at their high schools, and we currently only have 4 high schools, if I'm correct. And they take about 12 units. And then after that, they also get this, during their summers, they get to do an internship where they also are, get a stipend in addition. Also, our high schoolers get paid. So, because what is an apprenticeship or a pre-apprenticeship without having our students getting paid? So they also get a stipend, and in addition to that, they get a summer stipend as long as they do their hours. And at the end, they also receive their child development permit. So in California, you are able to get a permit as long as you're 18. So that's one of the things that I also found out this year. But that's our high school one. And then our after high school one, which is the Early Educator Apprenticeship Program, is dedicated for our ELTs, para educators, and instructional aides, for those who want to continue going and getting their college credit so they can earn their certificates, and we support them throughout the way. Last year we had only 6 apprentices, but now we grew up to 20. We started at 25, now we have 22 apprentices with the Early Educator Apprenticeship Program. They currently work full-time for our OUSD schools and also do classes with us afternoons on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And so actually I'm seeing them later on today. So we have 2 cohorts, and we're super excited to continue expanding. If there's any other questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
That's great. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it. And we'll move on to Maggie.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Maggie Barrientos from the College of San Mateo Child Development Center, and I work with Tina. Together, we have built the plane as we've been flying it all these years. And in our district, we run the Early Childhood Apprenticeship Program, ECAP for short. And we really designed this because we were seeing that students were taking 7 to 10 years to complete their degrees and move on to employment. And so we really wanted to create a pathway for students to be able to complete their coursework, have the hands-on, on-the-job training experience, and then be able to graduate from our programs with an associate's degree for transfer and their master teacher permit. so that they could apply for those higher level positions. As Tina mentioned, our apprenticeship is a little bit different because we have community employer partners and we have our lab school who are also employer partners. So our district has 3 campuses. 2 of our campuses right now, College of San Mateo and Skyline College, have child development centers where we do employ apprentices. And the apprentices that are placed in our child development centers are usually the students who have little to no experience in our field and have just started their ECE units. And so we really want them to have a high quality learning experience in their first on-the-job training, and to be able to implement what they're learning in the coursework with what they're seeing in the classrooms. The reason why I have the 2 community of practice flyers on my slide is because our students come in they're at different areas in their program. So some may come in with 6 units, some may come with 12 units. And so they're not all going through the courses in one cohort. Our community of practices are really the opportunities for us to bring those students together. So our apprentices meet 3 times a semester, as well as our mentoring teachers. We also bring them together because we really see the value in mentors working together to discuss strategies for how to best support student learning, for how to work with their students in terms of the ECE competencies, or how to structure their programs to allow for intentional mentoring in their classrooms. And then for the apprentices, it's an opportunity for them they may not see each other in their classes, but they come together in our community of practice so that we talk about a variety of different topics that may come up as you are moving through your degree and through coursework. It could be time management, technology assistance, or content assistance. So really these 2 communities of practices are opportunities for us to bring them together and then be able to work through some of the issues that have come up as we implement this apprenticeship. We are in our 3rd-ish year of our apprenticeship, and we started with a small cohort of 3 just in our CDCs, and now we have about 23, 25 with our 2 child development centers and our community partners. So it's been a lot of learning for us, but it's been exciting. And we have seen the success of this program. We graduated our first 2 apprentices last spring, and we anticipate we will have more graduates this upcoming spring. And so we're really seeing the fruits of this hard work.
Thank you, Maggie. And I want to just give a throwback to Amanda. So she represents one of our community partners, different than our lab schools. But again, we have multiple employer partners. So the community practice serves both folks at the lab school, folks at our partners out in the community. And again, our apprentices are a combination of brand new folks who are considering education as a pathway, and incumbent workforce who are wanting to continue with their education while they're employed in one of our employer partners. So we opted for that model, which again is markedly different than some of the other models being implemented, because we knew we would not be able to have enough students in courses to have closed courses for apprenticeships. So I saw there were some questions about general education courses out there, and there might be some about ECE, but essentially we knew the nature of our workforce in San Mateo County was that we would never have a cohort of 20 taking all the same classes. So we opted to really think about it markedly differently. So thank you, Maggie, appreciate that. And then, we're at the good stuff right now. Before we get into our specific questions, I do want to see if there's anything that popped up in the chat. Kathleen, are you still with us? I'm going to stop share too.
I am.
Perfect.
Couple things that have come up are GE courses offered offsite, because some of the programs said that they have offsite courses, or courses are brought from the community college to their work site. So how do you handle the GE issue? And John Dunn, if you have any examples from other sectors about GE courses and how to offer them in a more enrollment focused way, feel free to chime in. And then I'll make these other two announcements after. So I think I've tried to answer the questions. The GE one we really didn't quite answer. At some point, Courtney. Oh,
If you, well, I mean, the building trades do that pretty well if they add them into their apprenticeship standards.
mhm.
And I don't know if that's been talked about much here, but add those GE courses to your standards as if nothing else, just an optional class so that you can get the fees waived. But if you get enough people, then you can say, if you've got 20 people and you want to run it local, that seems doable. So that's what the trades do. They just have a big enough class. So
Yeah.
I think we're a skosh off topic with the GE, but I do want to say this is an enrollment management question. It's really important to have your administration on board with you if you're part of an institute of higher education. And then if you're not, if you're an employer partner and you're wondering about closed courses for either EC or general education, you probably want to contact someone in your contract education, right? Because closed courses are different than open enrollment, right? And those are just some different ways to provide the related supplemental instruction that goes alongside with the OJT, which is what we're really going to focus on here, right? So what's happening in the workplace. So I'll let Kathleen do her announcements, and then I will circle back to our panelists with some focused questions about best practices in mentoring and OJT.
Okay. So we do have something in the chat around the length of time. John Dunn can clarify what some other apprenticeships length of time is in our sector. I mean, obviously they need their 2,000 hours of work, they need their RSI. And we all know that because folks working with young children very often can't take a full-time course load, that it really can be a 3 to 4 year and sometimes longer apprenticeship position, but I would say 3 to 4 years is pretty typical pathway for our folks. They do get burned out working with young children and then enrolling in classes, and many of our students have children themselves, and you know our student profiles, so they're very busy students who have lots of obligations. The only other announcement I wanted to give was that we did have some loosening of strong workforce regulations that will soon allow for paying apprentices or work experience students. That's still in development. John, if you have anything to clarify on that, I know it was just released that money can be used now for student payment, but it's evidently college by college, and evidently the process is still being
yeah, I've got
explored.
nothing new. I'm hoping to get a bigger region-wide conversation going so everybody
Good.
can come. So,
But that's been a big hole because folks have said, how do I pay my students, especially at our lab schools and at programs that don't have resources? So stay tuned.
Thanks, Kathleen. So I went ahead and dropped the questions that we're going to be going over with our panelists so that you can review that. But I'm going to throw it out. This first question here to Julia from Kidango. What does effective mentoring look like in an early education setting? What does that look like in one of your Kidango sites?
Thank you. This is a good question. You know, this is very foundational for us. We want to make sure that we set up our both apprentice and mentors for success. We make sure we have check-in meetings with them, if not monthly, quarterly, to make sure they're getting enough hours in the classroom, they're meeting and they're doing whatever assessment they need. We support in building that trusting relationship. We provide them with setting clear goals and expectation, making sure they're having reflective dialogue and modeling each other. So we have our success coordinator that facilitates those relationship building to help support both mentors and our apprentices.
Great, thank you. Moving on to one of our next questions. What are the most important goals of mentoring new teachers in the ECE field, or in your case, Courtney, in extended learning opportunities? I'll throw that one to you.
Thank you. Yes, I think for folks who are new to the field, I would say meeting them where they're at is probably one of the greatest recommendations we make to our mentors. Our mentors have done the work. They have, they're in different places in the field and sometimes and in their careers. And sometimes it's easy to forget where we came from, where we started. And so we have a mentor onboarding that really goes over that. We also align our mentorship approach with how we, with our youth development framework, with our trauma-informed framework, because we want our apprentices who are younger in their career, younger in the field, and sometimes younger in age to be able to have a really positive experience. And so we have designed our mentorship program so that it's really meeting the needs of who our apprentices are, and our success coordinator as well supports the mentors with really getting to know who the apprentices are. And we have apprentices every year because our mentorship is a year-long commitment, and we have apprentices every year create like their own bio and portfolio of the things they want their mentors to know about them before starting the relationship, and that really gives context to the mentor coming into the relationship. And we also work really hard to ensure that the mentorship is outside of the line of supervision, because we don't want the personnel issues crossing over in any way with the mentor relationship, because then it shifts the dynamic and it makes folks feel less safe to share and to get support and to talk through things that they're really struggling with or really want to grow in. And then we also have expanded because we don't have enough internal staff to mentor the number of apprentices that we have because of the 1-to-4 ratio. And so we have now started an external process. So folks who have been in the field or are in the field can now apply to be a mentor for our apprentices. And so also, if you want to be a mentor, like, you can also reach out, or if you know folks that would be a good fit and are in the Alameda County area, because and that has been really great so far. Our intermediary partner has recommended a few people, and so that has been really positive because they have shared values.
That's great. That's certainly one of the things that we are noticing in the apprenticeship that myself and Maggie coordinate. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that, like, the actual structure of that mentoring? Is it folks that come into the learning spaces with children and other adults? Is it a pullout? What does that look like in terms of the mentoring?
Yeah, so we have our model has a couple of components. So they have to have a one-on-one meeting with the apprentice monthly, and that should be an hour monthly where they're meeting with the apprentices. And we do make sure that our apprentices are including that in their work time, because this is a required component of the apprenticeship. And our apprentices are also required to go observe our apprentices in their teaching, while they're teaching, once a month as well. And so that takes about 2 hours a month from the mentor to be able to go see the apprentice in action, to be able to see the competencies in action, and be able to do their assessment in that way. And then also to meet with them to get the context of what's happening, what they're experiencing. And so those are the components. And then there's additional, we have training 3 times a year for the mentors. And then they also have to meet with the success team 3 times in the year to be able to calibrate and get whatever they support that they need for the mentor program.
Great, thank you. I'll give the next question to Amanda. What strategies have you found most successful for supporting new teachers that you're working with as a mentor?
So when I went over those, I said more of like the bonds. That's definitely something that you have to have, that bond with the teachers. And when you feel more comfortable, of course, you're going to want to come out of your shell more, have a better relationship. I feel like the relationship part of it is a huge part of mentoring. Because if you don't feel comfortable with your mentor, of course, you're not going to open up, you're not going to want to do more. And having that trust too. I feel like trust is a huge one also, definitely.
Absolutely. I know we talk about it all the time with children, that relationship-based learning is the foundation of what we do. And I think it's really true for adults as well. And that's one of the things I know, the purpose of this particular seminar is to thinking about how to support adult learning. We talk a lot in early child education about learning with children, but adult learning also takes place in all of our spaces. And how do we best support that for our folks that are pursuing their education and wanting to advance their skill sets in early education in their spaces. I'll give this one to Jessica. And I've been throwing around a lot of acronyms. So if RSI, OJT, BACC, all of that is too much, holler at me because I know it can get wild in our field. What on-the-job training components or approaches have been the most effective in building competencies or extending competencies in your experience?
Yeah, so we actually have our on-the-job training mentors. We have a mentorship program with our EAP's apprenticeship. So what they do is we actually just had an orientation 2 weeks ago. So we welcomed about 20 mentors. They're all from different schools. Many of them are their lead teachers. Many of them are teachers that they may have known, and many of them are working in the same site that they are working at. So it's definitely helping them get into their competency. So they meet bi-weekly with their mentor. So they are able to fill out a form and make sure that they're reading the competencies and talk about the competencies that they want to work on. And that's pretty much how we're working and making sure that our apprentices are meeting their competencies.
Great, thank you. That is certainly your apprenticeship might not be a competency-based apprenticeship, but that seems to be the theme in early education. That's one of the things that we're looking at is, one, how to identify how we're demonstrating competencies, and then of course how to support building those competencies while we're also caring for children and interacting with families and other adults. So appreciate that. And it's not on my list of questions, but Maggie of course gets the benefit of working with me, so I'm going to give her the hardest question, which is, what have been some of the challenges that have come up around mentoring apprentices and meeting them really where they're at, which I know is a term that we use a lot in early education?
Well, let's see. There have been, I think like I said, we've learned a lot in the last 3 years about how to best meet students' needs. I think oftentimes what comes up is not so much the work-related part, but the life part for students. And so managing the family, managing, their other responsibilities, and how to balance all of that with completing apprenticeship, with completing their on-the-job training hours and their coursework. So I think we have worked as a campus team, as a district team, to really make the connections with the different departments that can best support our students, whether it is with our learning center or addressing the food insecurity or housing insecurity, transportation issues that students are having. We're really seeing those as many of the main barriers to success. And so being able to work through with our campus partners or community organizations to provide those services for our students is the goal, to help them to be successful. Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it. I will open up the floor for questions from our participants. Is there anything pressing for folks out there? You can go ahead and raise your hand or unmute.
Tina, can I ask John to share how other sectors are compensating their mentors and master, whatever they're called, journey people?
I was just typing it in. Good job.
Because I think people are wondering, how do we pay these people to do all this?
I know that I've had people write it into the CAI grant in the budget to say, look, we're gonna call it out early on in the budget that we're using some of this money to pay the mentors for stipends. The AIF, Apprenticeship Innovation Funding, that the Division of Apprenticeship Services sends out, could be used for that, because essentially it's reimbursement after you've successfully finished something. So what you use it for after that is up to you or the intermediary or whomever. Those are probably the best ones right now. Like I said in the note, AIF funding is still available, but has been reduced. I hope it stays in the January proposed budget, but we'll see. Not sure how that's going to shake out. I wonder if there are other interesting items that people maybe don't want to share right here, but they could share with me and I can let other people know, you know.
I
So,
wonder if
you know.
unions or employers are helping.
Some of them are, certainly in ours. I will add to that, CAI can be used for a lot of things, only if the institution that it's run through allows it. So we thought we were going to use CAI for all the wonderful things, and our college was like, nope, that's not how it's going to go down. So talk to your fiscal folks, because we had to change a lot of things, and taking out stipends for teachers was one of them. I know many of our counties have local stipends that can be used for professional development. We're certainly tapping into local stipends, and we've looked at again, each of our different employer partners has something they offer, but we can't have it be consistent across our employer partners. So some of them are paying their folks to mentor. Some of them are considering it, putting it in their job description. There's a lot of creativity around it. I would also caution sustainability. Those KI grants go fast. And again, depending on the institution that is running your grant, you may or may not be able to do the things that sound great. Also, you want it to be sustainable. So I know in our program, we chose not to pay stipends to mentors, but to work with individual partners and to see what local resources of more sustainable funding outside of our grants would allow us to do. Yeah, John.
Crazy idea. I love professional development. If there are professional development opportunities on a national scale, those are really hard to go to sometimes, but are a really nice thing to let someone go do that doesn't get to go to the nice conferences sometimes when they're in nice places. And I don't mean Orlando because it's hot and sweaty there, but as a former teacher who couldn't get out of the classroom to go learn new things, sometimes that's a fun thing to go do. So I hear Palm Springs is wonderful and other places. So anyway, you decide.
I love that you mentioned that. We actually just wrote our Perkins and Strong Workforce Grant for 25, 26, 27, and we termed it opportunity gaps for ECE students, and it was professional development. We know our folks can't afford to go to conferences, certainly out of state, and so we asked for a big chunk of money to be able to pay for their airfare, their hotel, organized transportation to a conference, and a food stipend, because we know our wages don't support that. So using the terms that we use in our field, and certainly I know are key in some of your institutions, but we do have some significant opportunity gaps for our students and apprentices who need access to other resources beyond the local DRDP training. Not that I don't love DRDP, but we need some other things. So thank you for that. Helpful. Any other questions about mentoring? I mean, clearly, I'm gonna highlight, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this particular session, was that every single person on the panel, their organization has a different structure for mentoring, and that in and of itself is one of the things that you have to navigate. What is the best way within your community, your organization, your need base to be able to provide that strong relationship-based mentoring? What is it that your people need? Thinking about that rather than having this like one construct of like what is good. I know I see Neva in here, and there are some other folks over there. We really did try to model our mentoring program after the mentor teacher program, and we found some challenges out in the community that we couldn't really we would be creating another barrier for institutions that wanted to be part of apprenticeship if we followed that model. And so it still remains the pinnacle for us, but we've had to flex in a number of different ways, and that haven't been all bad. But again, it brings up a challenge for what is mentoring. And when we say relationship-based, what does that really look like in a classroom learning environment? You put somebody who's never worked with children before, regardless of their age, in a learning space with children. Who is helping them be that best person in the classroom? Who is helping them think about the routines of the day, conflict resolution, play-based learning opportunities, invitations, provocations, all the buzzwords that we have in early ed? Who is the person who's really helping them get those pieces down and think about how to support them in both really of their learning experiences and journeys? Yeah. You popped on, Neva. Did you want to share anything? No, okay.
was just writing that one of the things that we're doing when you're talking about the barriers, it's true that there are barriers in the program, along with many strengths, because we've been around for 38 years. But we have, we're in the third year of a pilot that is working with apprentices and with those that are early in their education or workforce, and getting ready to implement that statewide. And so addressing those kind of barriers is really important to us. So I was just typing that. Now I don't need to. Thank you.
Yeah. And you are correct. Many strengths. In fact, what we do within our community of practices, certainly in our apprenticeship, is model some of those pieces. Certainly, we're looking at the mentor-teacher dynamic in our classrooms, and we have some purview in our lab schools to do it more purposely than we do in our employer partners. But that is certainly the goal that we're modeling after, years of research and energy and finance put into modeling that program, which remains in various ways the pinnacle of what we would want to do in terms of supporting our early education workforce.
Thanks for that, Tina. I appreciate it.
Of course. Any other questions or thoughts for those of you that are in it, thinking about it? We've revamped how many times. Every time we submit a budget, we're like, oh, gotta do it over again. It's fine. It keeps us on our toes. And sustainability, always a good thing. Other thoughts or questions?
Hey, I have a quick question, Tina. What if you weren't the fiscal agent?
We would have more flexibility for sure. The college has
Okay.
definitely kept our hands tied. But I'll tell you what, we wouldn't be sustainable. I don't see it lasting beyond the things that we've been forced to do begrudgingly have actually allowed it. We're going to be able to be sustainable beyond this.
Okay.
And really utilize our funding well versus kind of throwing everything, making this like very grand apprenticeship program. And then after the 3 years, not having any resources or having to scramble to constantly find funding to pay for the things that we built in. So we've been, we say building it while we fly very purposely, because we've also had to send the plans out to the architect a couple of times differently. Yeah.
Yeah, and and some other folks I've talked to, there is at least a conversation happening to add more RSI hours to the budget, not increase the reimbursement. And that helps all of the basic aid districts directly. And it really helps with some of these other conversations. I know Randy Wolf and I have talked about this. How do that extra RSI hours is a big deal. And I hope it makes it to January. We'll see. I don't have any, that's all buried in the Department of Finance right now. So anyway.
That's helpful. Thank you. I guess the one thing that I would add, just from my experience, again, a number of years in doing this, is one of the conversations I'm having with employer partners now, and I invite you to have as well, is how do employer partners build in that beyond training, beyond onboarding, beyond orientation, like for sustainability within your organization. Do you have it built into job descriptions that there is a mentoring component, that there is a beyond the supervision piece? I challenge everybody to think about that, because one of the things we do get, and I think we'll probably hear it when we start negotiating unions more with the TKK community, is that that's not on our job and we're not paid for that. But organization, beyond the individuals, I think organizations need to be thinking about what is your own sustainability plan for building that culture, for maintaining those relationships, for really guaranteeing that people want to stay in your organization and work with you. And how do you build in opportunities for them to share that experience when they get into positions of leadership, right? Because again, locally, I'm in San Mateo County, research show that we don't get paid well, cost of living is crazy, but people stay in their jobs because they like who they work with and where they're working. And so there's something about the culture within that is important. You all know your communities best, but I think we also need to be thinking about what is the sustainability of that. We can't run our programs on dual income, middle-aged women anymore who have partners in fields that support them. We really have to be thinking about a different demographic supporting our workforce. And so within your institutions, think about how you pursue and build into your jobs the mentoring, the coaching, those pieces that Randy would call it the secret sauce. It's not just a success coordinator. It's the culture of your organizations and how you build in sustainability. That should be part of your ongoing fiscal plan, should be part of your staffing plan, and certainly your leadership should be thinking about how do we give opportunities for folks to coach and mentor within our organizations so that you really are, when we talk about this all the time, you really are growing your own, right? So wherever you start your people, how do you continue to grow your own and compensate them, right? We don't want to be adding on things on folks, finding creative ways to support them in that mentoring and growing. So with that, we have 2 minutes. Any last minute questions, thoughts, or?
Fill out your evaluation forms.
Evaluation link is in the chat.
John, do you want to share the resource you dropped in on youth apprenticeship?
That just popped up in my emails, and I threw that in there. I haven't had a chance to read it at all. It just got released. So that is from the Youth Apprenticeship Committee, something or other. I wasn't on it, but I know that some of our good friends in the world pushed it back in a more positive direction than maybe where it was going, especially as it relates to what we're talking about right here. So take a look. I'll read it.
Fantastic. And our youth apprenticeship seminar is at what, 4 o'clock? We have a youth
4
apprenticeship.
o'clock. 4
coming
o'clock.
up. Yeah. So
I will say I'm going to the National Youth Apprenticeship Conference in Alexandria, Virginia / Washington, D.C. in December. So if any of you, I know that there might still be available spots and the hotel's still open. Just Google National Youth Apprenticeship Conference and come hang out in freezing DC with me for 3 days.
I'll be there. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon. And you know where you can reach us if you have questions. Thank you. All right. I'm going to close out here. I'll call you.